प्रेम नाम है मेरा, प्रेम चोपड़ा।
प्रेम चोपड़ा नाम है जी मेरा। आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो उड़ान, द फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ।
आज ही अपने मोबाइल फोन पर प्ले स्टोर या फिर ऐप स्टोर से डाउनलोड करें रेडियो उड़ान का ऑफिशियल ऐप और सब्सक्राइब करें रेडियो उड़ान का यूट्यूब चैनल। ज्यादा जानकारी के लिए लॉग ऑन करें www.radioudan.com। हैप्पी लिसनिंग।
या दोस्तों नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं दानिश महाजन प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में आपका स्वागत करता हूं। आज प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में हम आपको एक बेहद खास शख्सियत से तो मिलाएंगे ही और आपको एक ऐसी टॉपिक के बारे में जानकारी प्रोवाइड करवाने की कोशिश करेंगी जो हमारे लिए अत्यंत आवश्यक है। तो आज हम जिस टॉपिक पर बात करने जा रहे हैं, पिछले साल से इस देश में चर्चा चल रही है और बहुत सारे आप लोग इससे मुखातिब होंगे और बहुत सारे लोग आप इससे मुखातिब नहीं होंगे। हम जो हमारे आज के गेस्ट हैं, हम उनके साथ बात करेंगे नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में। जैसा कि फॉर्मर एचआरडी मिनिस्टर मिसेस स्मृति ईरानी जी ने भी बताया था कि उन्होंने देश में नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को रिवाइव करने का सोचा है। ये लगभग आज 30 सालों बाद हो रहा है। इससे पहले 1986 में इसको रिवाइव किया गया था। समय समय पर कमेटियां बनी, उन्होंने अपने सजेशंस दे। 1948 में डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन जी ने अपनी रिपोर्ट दी एजुकेशन पर। उसके बाद समय समय पर अलग अलग कमेटियां आई, फिर जशपाल कमेटी भी आई, उन्होंने भी अपने सजेशंस दिए। 1986 के बाद अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूं तो 1992 में हल्के फुल्के चेंजेस भी किए गए, लेकिन हर बार जो फोकस था वो रहता था क्वालिटेटिव एजुकेशन पर, क्वालिटी ऑफ द एजुकेशन पर। इस बार इंक्लूजन पर भी हर बार इनका फोकस रहता है, जबकि जशपाल कमेटी ने बात की थी यूनिवर्सिटीज की स्वायत्तता को लेके, ऑटोनॉमी को लेके। इसमें जो नई पॉलिसी में अभी तक जो क्लियर हुआ है उसमें बात की जा रही है इंक्लूसिवनेस की, इंक्लूजन की, इनोवेशन की और ऑफकोर्स क्वालिटेटिव एजुकेशन की। ये कमेटी चेयर की गई फॉर्मर कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी टीआरएस सुब्रमण्यम सर द्वारा। इस पर उन्होंने 90 रिकमेंडेशन एमएचआरडी को दी। फिर एमएचआरडी ने इस रिपोर्ट को ऑफिशियली पब्लिक में नहीं रखा, लेकिन फिर भी ये पब्लिक डोमेन में थी। एक वाइडर, बहुत बड़े स्केल पर लोगों से बात की, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से बात की और जनरल पब्लिक से बात की। बहुत सारे लोगों को ये डर था कि ये पॉलिसी शायद बीजेपी सरकार आई है तो शिक्षा का भगवाकरण करने के लिए ला रहे हैं, लेकिन जब ये रिपोर्ट आई उसके बाद जितने लोगों ने ये कियास लगाए थे वो सारे लोगों के कियास दूर हो गए। उसमें ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था। हालांकि अभी फाइनल जो पॉलिसी है वो सामने नहीं आई है, फाइनल रिपोर्ट नहीं आई है। अभी 30 सितंबर को जो लास्ट डेडलाइन थी आपकी सबमिशन की, तो देखते हैं ये कब आती है। अभी पॉलिसी नहीं बनी है लेकिन सुझाव दिए जा रहे हैं। अब आप सोच रहे होंगे कि बदलता दौर में मैंने इसको क्यों लिया, क्योंकि जब हम एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं तो एजुकेशन उतनी ही इंपॉर्टेंट है डिसेबल पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी के लिए जितनी आम लोगों के लिए। एजुकेशन अत्यंत आवश्यक है और सबको ये रहता है प्रॉब्लम। हम एक लंबे अरसे से मांग कर रहे हैं कि डिसेबिलिटी डिस्कोर्स होना चाहिए स्कूलों में, क्वालिटेटिव एजुकेशन होनी चाहिए, हमारी जो रिजर्वेशंस है वो प्रॉपरली इंप्लीमेंटेशन होनी चाहिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की ओर ध्यान देना चाहिए, सेमिनार्स वगैरह लगा के डिसेबिलिटी के प्रति लोगों को अवेयर करना चाहिए, टीचर्स को, रिसोर्स सेंटर होने चाहिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डिसेबिलिटी फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए। हमारे साथ आज वी हैव मिस amba salelkar ji. She is associated with Equal Center for the Promotion of Social Justice and she works for spreading legal harmony. Ma'am, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. Welcome to the बदलता दौर.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, I would like to congratulate you. You are working tremendously hard over this project and it is really very important from the perspective of disabled. When I went through my report, when I was I was preparing myself, I listened a lot of eminent personalities and I read out their blogs, articles, but unfortunately, people are talking about the minorities, but people are not talking about the person with disability. So personally, and from the behalf of the community, I would like to congratulate you. You thought of disabled people, and you are working hard over this.
Thank you. We usually हमारे organization में we try and look at as many mainstream policies and legislations as possible from the perspective of persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to bridge that particular gap. तो ये जो national education policy जो बनी है उसके पहले I think maybe 2 years back HRD ministry had come out with a call for comments on the implementation of the RTE Act so far. तो तभी सेक्टर के कुछ जाने माने व्यक्तियों के सपोर्ट के साथ we were able to put in a response to that कि though it was just 2 years 2014 में हुआ था ये 2012 में as we all know Right to Education Act का amendment हुआ था और उसमें persons with disabilities या students with disabilities को include किया गया and they were said that they also have the same right to education in a neighboring school. तो ये मतलब उसके बाद we were waiting कि कब आएगा ये HRD मिनिस्ट्री का रिपोर्ट वो तो हम वेट कर ही रहे थे कि ये आया मतलब नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी फॉर पब्लिक कमेंट तो ये एक ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट है और उसमें जैसे आपने ऑब्जर्व भी किया था persons with disabilities के बारे में स्पेसिफिक ये रिकमेंडेशन हुआ है in the sense कि इंक्लूजन के बारे में बात किया गया है in several spaces और ये भी इम्पोर्टेंट है कि जो ये नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है दिस कंपासेस प्री स्कूल एजुकेशन से लेके vocational training तक it talks about the entire experience of education और हमारे लिए कभी-कभी वो इनफैक्ट वो जो इनपुट्स है वो RTE एक्ट मतलब 6 to 14 के एज के बीच में रिस्ट्रिक्टेड है एक्चुअली इफ यू गो टू सी हाँ तो ये है कि लाइक द पॉइंट इज कि ये हमारे लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है बिकॉज काफी एक्सपर्ट्स ने ये मेंटेन किया है कि एक्चुअली 0 to 3 और 3 to 6 जो एज ग्रुप्स हैं वो चिल्ड्रन विद डिसेबिलिटीज के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है तो उनमें जो ये जो हम इंटरवेंशंस कर सकते हैं एज फार एज पॉसिबल वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और जो बच्चे एज 6 में स्कूल में चले जाते हैं तो कभी कभी इट वुड हैव बीन मच बेटर इफ दे हैड सर्विसेज अर्लियर okay so this is why it was important for us to intervene.
Okay, so let us start and we'll keep the focused on the pertinent points. My first question, ma'am, how do you see the current education system from the perspective of disability? Then we will come to the new education policy. Before we go to the new education policy, we need to know what were our apprehensions before in the current education system.
So I think जो students with disabilities हैं वो कभी-कभी उनके लिए I mean it's not enough to just create this sort of just to inclusion नाम के वास्ते तो नहीं हो सकता है basically. ये बात हो रही थी काफी लोगों का एक्सपीरियंस भी रह चुका है कि इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन का दरवाजा जब खुल गया 2012 में तो प्रॉब्लम ये हो रहा था कि डिसेबल बच्चों को लिया जा रहा था स्कूल में पेरेंट्स काफी एडवोकेसी हुआ है लाइक डिसएडवांटेज ग्रुप्स के नीचे डिसेबिलिटी को जो 2012 में अमेंडमेंट हुआ था डिसएडवांटेज ग्रुप्स में डिसेबिलिटी को नहीं लिया गया था इट वाज डिफाइंड कि डिसेबिलिटी मतलब क्या है बट दैट अमेंडमेंट हैड नॉट टेकन प्लेस स्टेट लेवल पे नोटिफिकेशंस के साथ डिसेबल्ड स्पेशल नीड्स बच्चों को लिया गया लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये हो रहा था कि बच्चों को जस्ट नाम के वास्ते लिया जा रहा था बच्चों को कभी कभी किसी कोने में बिठा के आया के साथ बिठा के जस्ट अटेंडेंस लगा के उन लोगों को सेपरेटली रखा गया था। जो बच्चों को एक्चुअली, जो बच्चों के लिए जो सुविधाएं चाहिए थी, उनके लर्निंग एड्स को उन तक नहीं पहुंच पाए थे। जो अभी मतलब सर्व शिक्षा अभियान में कुछ 3,000 रुपए पर चाइल्ड ऐसा मतलब पर ईयर उस बच्चे का मतलब जो उनके लिए जो असिस्टेड डिवाइसेस या जो भी है वो अलाउंस दिया गया था, लेकिन वो अलाउंस जिस काम के लिए और जो एक्चुअली यूज किया जा रहा था वो गलत तरीके से यूज कर रहा था, इन द सेंस कि हमारे तिरुवल्लूर मतलब एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट है तमिलनाडु में, वहां पे हमारी वो स्टडी हुआ था हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का। तो वहां पे देखा गया कि जो एक्सपेंडिचर्स हैं वो टीचर सैलरीज या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, जो रैम्प्स बनाना या जैसे होम बेस्ड एजुकेशन पे, इसके नीचे उसका खर्चा किया जा रहा था। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि उस बच्चे के लिए एक्चुअली वो जो एक्सपेंसेस ऐसे रैम्प बनवाना या लिफ्ट लगवाना, वो सब के लिए एक और एक्सपेंडिचर हेड है, मतलब जो लार्ज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, तो उनमें उसके लिए उस स्पेसिफिक बच्चे के अलाउंस से काटना जरूरी नहीं है। ऑन द अदर हैंड कुछ एक्टिविस्ट का एक्सपीरियंस है कि कुछ डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में 3,000 रुपीज पर ईयर डायरेक्टली पेरेंट्स के हाथ में दिया जाता था कि आप लोग खर्चा करो, लेकिन पेरेंट्स किस पे खर्चा करें वो तो मालूम नहीं है ना, so then that's the problem. So it was like mostly it was and because there was abhi, if you are a parent and you have a child with a disability, आप या तो उनको स्पेशल स्कूल में डलवा सकते हो या तो इंक्लूसिव स्कूल में। और बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स का ये डर था कि हम अपने बच्चों को ऐसे माहौल में अगर हम स्पेशल स्कूल को छोड़ के इंक्लूसिव स्कूल में डालेंगे तो उस बच्चे का अगर 1-2 साल भी लगे वो ट्रांजिशन होने में, फिर भी मतलब दैट डिफरेंसेस हम वो 2 साल हम मिस करेंगे और वो एक बच्चे के फ्यूचर के लिए बहुत हानिकारक है। तो दैट वाज द फियर दैट वाज देयर, और ये काफी है इनफैक्ट। एंड जो हमारा फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस है, अगर आप आस्था का रिपोर्ट देखोगे जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दिल्ली में है, राधिका अलका जी हेड्स दिस, दे कम आउट एवरी ईयर विद अ रिपोर्ट ऑन RTE एंड पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज, एंड एवरी ईयर इट्स गेटिंग वर्स। हमारा जो ये है कि SSA के नीचे कितना एक्सपेंडिचर हुआ है वो भी साल ईयर टू ईयर वो घटता जा रहा है। इनफैक्ट ऐसा नहीं है कि इट्स एक्चुअली गेटिंग लेस, UGC का भी कट हुआ है। सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम व्हिच वाज हैपनिंग। तो इसीलिए इट्स the situation with persons with disabilities is quite difficult.
So what are the positive point do you see in this new education policy? The recommendations or the report came out by MHRD. Do you find something positive for the person with disability as per now?
So I think that the policy in general is quite positive, and I think that agar disadvantaged children ko agar aap just properly देखोगे तो उसमें children with disabilities भी included हैं, but the policy does not really go beyond जो RTA के नीचे जो मतलब already दिया गया है. There is I don't think that there is anything which is they've gone really beyond that. और मुझे लगता है कि जो स्पेसिफिक मतलब ये बच्चों जो डिसेबल्ड बच्चे हैं उनको इंक्लूड करना सिस्टम में इज नॉट द सेम थिंग एज रिमूविंग बैरियर्स फॉर से इंक्लूजन ऑफ Dalit children or transgender or others, because with children with disabilities there's a significant expenditure. It's not enough to just remove the discrimination, wo bhi discrimination is needs to be tackled for all groups. Okay, but my point is that jo children with disabilities hai, not only infrastructure but also manpower. You need teachers who are trained in inclusive education. अभी हमारे जो one somebody made a observation that मतलब हर एक फील्ड में अगर आप देखोगे तो this observation was made by Nirmita Narasimhan of CIS. She said any field you see जो general practitioner है और जो specialist है, general practitioner will do the basics and then specialized. सिर्फ हमारे special education में the special educator only learns about special education and is not exposed to anything else, I think it's a brilliant observation, which shows that this is the thing. The teachers, they don't know how to deal with children with disabilities.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's a huge problem.
They don't know what is cerebral palsy, what is autism, they don't have even basic awareness with regard to the disability.
They don't. In fact, जो है, when people want to seek admission, most of the teachers are like, आपका बच्चा हमारे यहाँ पे क्या सीखेगा? That's the kind of responses people are getting. And it's very unfortunate because तभी से जो rejection मन में बैठ जाता है, वो that's very damaging overall to everyone put together. So the other problem is that it's not really talking about the policy, does not talk. See, RTE is 6 to 14, but in context of other issues, it does not really talk about really what is. There is a section on inclusive education, जो section 7 है policy में, but it is something which has not gone deep enough to really keep what is the issue with inclusive education in the context of persons with disabilities right now. If they had applied themselves a little more, I think, to look at ki abhi tak jo problems hain, it would have been a stronger policy in our with regard to our concerns. But I think that's been dealt with slightly in a superficial manner. This is my personal opinion.
Ma'am, before we go through the other aspects of this new education policy, I want to make you a comment over when we go through televisions, or the radio or any media, we found a lot of eminent speakers comes from the different section of the society and the communities. They comment about the minority Muslims. They comment, they have apprehensions of ST, SC, or they always talk about minorities. In minorities especially, they talk about Muslim, Dalit, they always talk. But none speaks about disabled. Whether they are RTE activists, whether they are, they are working for qualitative education, the activists from the all over. I heard a lot of big names there, but unfortunately, all were missing the problems of the disability. Nobody was addressing the issues with regard to person with disability. Why it is happening?
So I have perhaps two possible issues which may be there. एक तो जो rights approach, rights based approach है for persons with disabilities, वो अभी तक mainstream में नहीं आया है. और ये सिर्फ education में नहीं, ये overall है. Persons with disabilities के प्रति एक charity approach type का मतलब approach है. अगर आप देखोगे Olympics और Paralympics में क्या फर्क है, ये आता है कि people are just, they treat it differently. So I think many people are really of the opinion जो special children with disabilities अगर होंगे तो special schools में चले जाएंगे. I think that this is a very widespread belief कि मतलब ये inclusive education does not really talk about. अगर inclusion जो word है, even financial inclusion, अभी financial inclusion पे बहुत जोर चल रहा है, but inclusion अगर हम देखेंगे कि disabled लोगों के लिए क्या inclusion है, it's absolutely silent. तो inclusion from our perspective of disability, जो inclusion हमें लगता है कि ये हमारा word है, inclusion हम सब साथ में, वो actually mainstream में permeate नहीं हुआ है. और ये एक दुख की बात है actually. I think the second thing is that I think वो actually जो the awareness is lacking just on कि persons with disabilities को कैसे accommodate किया जाए. In the sense that अगर मतलब जब हम we speak about persons with disabilities and inclusive education and what have been the experiences of inclusive education, many people are hearing it for the first time. एंड ये एक वी डोंट नो हाउ टू एड्रेस इट बिकॉज कभी कभी हमारे जो इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन या हमारे जो एक्सपीरियंस है, हम डिसेबिलिटी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में बोलते हैं, हम डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट के नीचे एजुकेशन को लेके बहुत चर्चा हुआ है, जो आरपीडी बिल अभी पेंडिंग है, बट आई डोंट नो वो मेन स्ट्रीम लेजिस्लेशन में क्यों नहीं आता है. एंड ये मतलब जनरल अप्रोच है. हम पॉलिसी में काम करते हैं तो बहुत कॉमन है, अरे आपका प्रॉब्लम होगा तो आप मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल एम्पावरमेंट में चले जाइए, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिसेबिलिटीज में चले जाइए, आपका यहाँ पे क्या काम है. ये काफी बार हुआ है हमारे साथ. व्हेन वी गो टू, हमें देख के ही लाइक इफ सम एक्टिविस्ट आर देयर, डिसेबिलिटी का नाम लेंगे तो बोलेंगे कि प्लीज गो टू दैट डिपार्टमेंट. वैसे बट पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज, हम लोग टैक्स भरते हैं, स्कूल जाते हैं, ट्रांसपोर्ट लेते हैं, फ्लाइट में जाते हैं, तो व्हाई शुड आवर नीड्स नॉट बी इन दोस those regular policies, right? So that's something that we need to sort of work on कि it's और दूसरा है कि आपने जो marginalized groups के बारे में आपने examples दिया है, अगर वो पॉलिसी या डॉक्यूमेंट उनके नीड्स को नहीं लिया जाता है तो जो पॉलिटिकल आउटक्राई है वो बहुत ही हार्श है. Like if you make a policy without talking about the needs of minority groups, जो backlash होता है वो काफी strong है social media पे, mainstream media पे, but disability जो include नहीं किया जाता है कभी कभी, तो people don't, as in our voices are not heard, and that happens because we don't have that kind of political representation which is backing us. And this is very unfortunate as well. So I think that's why there's no pressure also to include our needs in these, whether it's by social, in civil society or even at the government level. This is my personal opinion.
Now I would like to know, you have sent your organization has sent your representation on behalf of disabled persons or disability sector. So what are the issues you have raised?
So पॉलिसी में एक्चुअली हम पॉलिसी के जो सेक्शंस हैं उन्हीं को हम फॉलो कर रहे थे. तो उसमें दे हैव अबाउट 22 डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज ऑफ फ्रॉम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन टू फाइनेंसिंग टू इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन पे देयर इज अ सेक्शन ऑफ कोर्स एंड एवरीथिंग एल्स. सो हर एक जो सब सेक्शन है उनको हमने दो तरीके से देखा. एक तो जो हमारा कॉन्टेक्स्ट है वो बताने के लिए, क्योंकि जैसे आपने एक्सप्लेन, मतलब हमारी जो बात हुई कि कॉन्टेक्स्ट किसी को मालूम नहीं है कि एक्चुअली ग्राउंड में लेवल पे क्या हो रहा है. एंड सेकेंडली जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है, जो रिकमेंडेशंस हैं, वो क्या करने चाहिए. बिकॉज जस्ट इट्स नॉट इनफ टू जस्ट से कि हमारा इतना प्रॉब्लम है. जितना हो सके हम ऑल्टरनेटिव्स या ये भी हम प्रेजेंट करेंगे तो ये अच्छा रहेगा. तो जो हाइलाइट्स है मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ कि एक तो एम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, इस पे काफी एजुकेशन एक्टिविस्ट ने कमेंट किया कि ये पॉलिसी बहुत ही एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी पे फोकस्ड है कि जॉब्स कैसे, मतलब आप एजुकेशन करते हो तो उसके एंड में जॉब मिलना चाहिए टाइप्स. तो एक्चुअली हमने ये जस्ट ऑब्जर्व किया कि फॉर पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी तो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, लाइवलीहुड बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन साथ में अगर हम ये तरीके से देखें कि अभी कुछ लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि, एंड इनफैक्ट इवन टीचर्स एक्सेट्रा, पीपल थिंक दैट जो डिसेबल्ड लोग हैं वो कुछ काम नहीं कर पाएंगे बाद में, तो एजुकेशन लेके क्या फायदा है. तो इसलिए हमें वो एजुकेशन का जो पर्सपेक्टिव है वो जनरल लाइफ स्किल्स और नॉलेज का भी बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है उसमें इन एजुकेशन, and not just employability, it's everything put together. So that is something which अभी आशा किरण का सुप्रीम कोर्ट में केस पेंडिंग है, जो और इंस्टीट्यूशन है आशा किरण. तो उसमें इनफैक्ट द मेंटल हेल्थ जो इंस्टीट्यूशन, सॉरी द इभास ऑफिशियल्स एक्चुअली मेड ऑब्जर्वेशन कि जब एक्सपर्ट कमेटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट किया गया उन्होंने बोला कि इतने बच्चे हैं आशा किरण में, उनका भी राइट टू एजुकेशन है, उनको स्कूल में एडमिशन मिलना चाहिए. एंड दीज आर चिल्ड्रन विद वेरियस फॉर्म्स ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल इम्पेयरमेंट्स. ओके, नाउ what was happening was that under the Supreme Court, IBHAS made observations that only certain percentage of these children are educable. मतलब इतने ही बच्चे हैं जिनको एजुकेशन का कुछ फायदा हो सकता है, something like that, you know. And the thing is, if you look at it, ये मतलब एक तो how can you determine that what is education we are talking about? ये सब प्रश्न आ जाते हैं. You know, if we look at हमारा जो UNCRPD है, UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, all children with disabilities have a right to education. So how can we take this decision कि there are some children who can never benefit from education? So this is the danger that's being sort of propagated, you know, and that's something that we needed to counter. So wo, in fact, the first, you know, thing we've done is we've brought up that, you know, those problems and that approach. Preschool education may, you know, there was several schemes already exist कि ICDS पॉलिसी वो प्री स्कूल एजुकेशन के साथ जुड़ा गया है, राष्ट्रीय बाल स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रम. और ये but इसमें भी बहुत फील्ड लेवल पे there have been problems in accessing this, especially from poor and tribal areas. लॉ कमीशन का रिपोर्ट आया था, 295th लॉ कमीशन रिपोर्ट ऑन अर्ली चाइल्डहुड सर्विसेज एंड एंटाइटलमेंट्स. सो और उसमें ऐसा ऑब्जर्वेशन था कि अर्ली चाइल्डहुड डेवलपमेंट बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है और ऐसा राइट होना चाहिए कि children can get that window of opportunity 0 to 6 years. लेकिन उसके बाद actually there has been no development in that, and experts का ये मानना है कि 0 to 4 age group जो children with disabilities हैं, उनको ऐसा stimulation और enabling environment मिलना चाहिए और उसका एक foundation बनता है education के लिए. तो उसमें हम you know, like the thing is that और जो बच्चे हैं unfortunately उनको जो children with disabilities हैं, they usually send to the आंगनवाड़ीज जहाँ पे आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर है, और आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर is actually meant for health care and nutrition under ICDS, right? तो उसमें जो preschool services है, मतलब you know learning through playing or other forms of engagement, जो stimulation मिल सकता है बच्चों के लिए, वो lacking है. तो इसलिए जो हम प्री स्कूल अगर हम सोचेंगे तो प्री स्कूल सर्विसेज हाउ कैन दे बी मेड इंक्लूसिव, उस पे हमें यू नो काफी वर्क हो चुका है इन द वेस्ट, इन अफ्रीका एज वेल, कि हाउ डू यू मेक दीज इंक्लूसिव, एंड वी नीड टू लर्न फ्रॉम दोज एक्सपीरियंसेस. The next point is on the rights of children with disabilities. और इसमें actually जो corporal punishment है, मतलब जो बच्चों के साथ मारपीट होती है, as in the teachers sometimes discipline students physical by using force. तो ये जो बच्चे जो able bodied बच्चे हैं, उनके ऊपर बहुत ही मतलब people have raised issues, especially जो marginalized communities हैं, उनके ऊपर जो जाती होती है टीचर्स के साथ में, उस पे काफी प्रेस कवरेज वगैरह हुआ है. But we find that in the context of children with disabilities, especially children who have either psychosocial or some developmental disability, और उसमें कभी-कभी उनके जो you know उनका बर्ताव या उनके you know expressions, you know teachers are not really aware of, मतलब autism में ऐसा you know if a child is you know experiencing you know an episode, तो वो मतलब वो that has to be tackled in a certain way. Now the thing is कि ऐसे बच्चों मतलब you know children with these impairments, आजकल ये बहुत हो रहा है कि उनके लिए स्पेशल क्लासेस लिए जाते हैं, और उनके लिए जो बिहेवियरल थेरेपीज हैं वो एक्चुअली उनमें बहुत कंट्रोवर्सी है कि मतलब उनके बिहेवियर को लेके उनको ठीक कैसे किया जाए. और एक्चुअली और ये जो ट्रीटमेंट या थेरेपी है वो बंद कमरे में होता है, वो पेरेंट्स के व्यू के बाहर होता है, और एक्चुअली काफी सारे केसेस आए हैं जिसमें ये बच्चे का एक्चुअली बहुत ही बैडली इंजरी या कभी कभी डेथ भी हुआ है, and there is no explanation as to how this has happened. And the Kerala Children's Rights Committee is actually Kerala State Commission for Protection of Child Rights has actually kept this under observation, this particular issue, because of the efforts of a parents organization there, which is called Together We Can. And the thing is, this is very important, क्योंकि एक able-bodied बच्चों को अगर टीचर ने थप्पड़ मारा, तो there are people who are willing to call that as child abuse. But if there is an autistic child who is having an episode and the teacher ties them up or beats them, then they'll say, oh, लेकिन ये बच्चा ऐसा कर रहा था तो टीचर क्या करती वगैरह, and that's a different standard, right? That cannot be the case. So that is the thing that we need to talk about. That the second thing is that जो बच्चों को आजकल बहुत ही ये हुआ है कि अगर कोई भी बच्चा कोप नहीं कर पा रहा है तो टीचर्स या स्कूल्स के थ्रू उन बच्चों को मेडिकेट किया जाता है फॉर डिफरेंट थिंग्स लाइक ADHD या मतलब अटेंशन डेफिसिट के नाम पे उन बच्चों को मेडिकेट किया जा रहा था, और ये इन मेडिकेशंस का एक बहुत ही लंबा असर होता है. तो अननेसेसरी मेडिकेशन जो स्कूल्स प्रमोट करती है उस पे भी ध्यान देना चाहिए. एंड ऑल्सो जो इन सर्टन स्कूल्स, स्पेशली स्पेशल स्कूल्स, there have been rampant cases of sexual abuse of girls with disabilities, and that's something which जो काफी मीडिया में भी आ चुका है, तो उस पे भी हमें ध्यान देना चाहिए. We also looked at जो learning outcomes है, मतलब जो अभी जो बच्चे क्या सीखता है स्कूल में, तो ये ये एक अभी ये पॉलिसी मतलब इस पे ध्यान दे रही कि अंडर द RT अदरवाइज स्टूडेंट आई थिंक क्लास 8 तक you cannot fail a student, right? You can't keep the student back. And this policy talks
non-detention policy.
Non-detention policy. And this
they are
policy
going to end it out.
And they're going to end it out, exactly. So the thing is that we need to look at, okay, agar kisi a student with a disability, a student from a disadvantaged background is not given the support to study, and if they don't pass the examination or whatever it is, I mean, usme whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the child or is it the fault of the school? And the thing is that in many cases, in fact, the students are asked to drop subjects, so students are allowed to not take certain subjects because the school is failing to accommodate them. Actually, you can accommodate them, but instead of that, they'll say, अच्छा ठीक है, आप second language मत करो, या आप science मत पढ़ो,
science maths मत पढ़ो, music ले लीजिए.
हाँ, exactly, right? और इनफैक्ट ये बहुत ही बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि like in
okay, let me ask some specific questions. So ma'am, non-detention policy I want to know, because a lot of visually impaired people says it should be ended,
right?
Because they are saying कि now the technique is heavy, so at least visually impaired can go for it. They can compete with the other people, but there are some people with the autism or cerebral palsy who been not provided support. They are not that they can't do, they can do, but people don't understand. So do you want this to continue non-detention policy? In easy words, what are you suggesting to the listener, to the government in your representation?
So ये हमारा ये प्रॉब्लम है कि जो ending the detention or this policy, उसमें there are arguments for and against that. लेकिन जो अगर आप किसी बच्चे को detain करोगे, तो how do we ensure that वो बच्चा मतलब सब support मिलने के बाद भी this child has not been able to sort of address a certain subject or pass a certain subject. How do we come up with that? I mean, that is not clear in this policy. It's not as simple as saying कि आप detention policy आप close कर दीजिए. That's fine. I mean, but the thing is that how do we then how do we ensure that this is not a way of weeding out children who are not given support?
Yeah.
This is what the apprehension is, and that's what the policy is not clear on.
Is this policy talking about the disability discourse? Because as you earlier stated, if we, from the beginning we will not teach students with regard to disability, and the same students are going to be the teachers in future. So until they will not read, because you cannot you cannot do this. First you become teacher, then you learn about the disability, then you have the special B.Ed, become the special educator. That's going to be very lengthy process. Is this policy talking about to teach about disability discourse or start the disability discourse in the schools?
So this policy does not address this. The draft policy does not address it. This is something we have asked for कि जो teachers हैं, मतलब जो अभी qualified teachers, you have to sort of introduce the disability discourse there. You have to introduce the disability discourse in the B.Ed curriculum, and children, special educators also must get an exposure to general classroom teaching. So because special educators must also be able to function in an inclusive environment, right? With all children. So this is something which we've asked for. Interestingly, in the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill, RPD bill जो अभी pending है Parliament में, उसमें actually there is a section which talks about this, talks about like all teachers should be trained in disability. So we made a reference to that, saying कि it's there in one policy document or one draft legislation, to please take note of that, because it's also proposed by the same government, no? So they should they should have some consistency.
But still, sir, you are not finding this kind of mechanism where every teacher has to be trained for disabled people.
It exists in CBSE guidelines. That they talk about. On the CBSE guidelines, they actually have a specific observation made that teachers should be given on-the-go training on inclusive education. I'm not aware of how far that's really worked.
One report came, even if we were talking about right to education, even not in the case of disability, but in the general, only 10% of the schools has been complied with that RTI Act till now. If in general the percentage is only 10%, you can think about the disabled.
Exactly. This is it's a huge problem. और ये भी हो रहा है कि RT Act के अंदर, मतलब there is a proviso which says that for children with severe disabilities, they also have the option of being home-based education. And Astha report, for example, has highlighted how in a few states that they have done their assessment, that many children who are sort of taken out of the school for home-based education, they never get that home-based education. And so on the record it'll be 100% enrollment or whatever it is, but ultimately these children are getting nothing. Whereas when they were going to the school, at least they had that exposure to their colleagues and everything. Now it's absolutely nothing. And the caregiving thing also exists on the family, right? So that is the problem that's happening. But also when we talk about education, Danish, the other thing is like it's not just about RT. So there's a section, for example, on extracurriculars and lifelong learning. Extracurriculars, and comprehensive education. I'm sorry, it's called. जो comprehensive education है, उसमें we never talk about children with disabilities. जो playground है या जो art है, जो dance है, the different schools have it. Children with disabilities are just excluded from this. Agar it's a visually impaired students may get pushed into music, I would say. Pushed into music. Even if they don't want to learn music, they're pushed into it. But the thing is that, but for other children, these, because it's inaccessible, the playground is inaccessible, the physical education teacher has no idea what to do with someone with, cerebral palsy. This becomes a huge problem. You have this exclusion happens, and the thing is that, how do we address that? Because inclusive education cannot just be about being able to study maths and being able to go to the
Yeah,
class, even
yeah.
extracurriculars, the picnics, the excursions, everything should be inclusive, right? So that's something which is very
Missing.
important.
Yeah.
It's missing. Even if we look at midday meals or schools which are giving nutritional, how many do we talk about? Okay, what is the nutritional requirement of a child with a disability?
Exactly.
It is different, right? So that's something which it can be addressed, because at the school level it can easily be addressed if we just plan for it. That is the only thing that's lacking, actually. In our experience, from the work that our organization has done, and even from feedback from the sector, it is easily done. It's just a question of the political will and a question of just planning for it from the grassroots level itself upwards. That is the main thing. So,
Okay, two things, ma'am, you have raised, and we always blame government, bureaucrats, and the mainstream people. But you raised 2 points very pertinent, and I wanted to focus a little bit for the listener's sake. The one issue you have raised, the sexual abuses cases are in the special school. Now it is very interesting. And second issue you have raised, the admission issue. You raised that. Now my two observations, which I am working in the field, and my two observations, when the sexual harassment case come to the domain, a lot of organization or the co-organizations do not let it come in the public domain, because if it would come, so the reputation of their organization will go to bane, and other organizations do support it. They also try to protect them. So because government is not too much aware with regard to special schools and the organizations, but we also shy away from our responsibility. We say because every organization is interlinked in some way. And the second issue, how would we tackle this one? And the other issue, I myself went with some cases in the schools where the people who have problem with the mind, and I went to get them admitted in the school. The schools who are working for these people, they said first we will check the IQ, then we will admit them. They are not ready to accommodate them. If their IQ level is high or if they are very good, why would they come to you? So how would we deal with these issues?
So in the second instance, are these special schools that you're talking about?
Yeah. Special. Even in special.
So the thing is that I think with
special में भी हो रहा है.
ये बहुत ही, क्योंकि see, the thing with special schools and other schools is special schools come under the Department of Education, under the Ministry of Social Justice, and other schools come under HRD.
Yeah.
This is an inherent problem, because the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment should not be dealing with education. This is my opinion of my organization.
A lot of people have this opinion. Yeah.
So then, no, I want to make it clear, because the submission, many organizations have signed it. I don't think we all have the same, but this is our kind of view. And the thing is that I think that therefore the RTE and the mechanisms under RTE, like for instance, the RTE provides that the State Child Rights Committee or Commission for the Rights of the Child is supposed to be the monitoring organization. And, so when there are these cases, because see, the RTE Act is very specific that you cannot have any assessment for the admission of children. The children are not supposed to be subject to any sort of screening. It's very clear in the RTE. Okay. So even if it's an IQ test or whatever it may be, it's not permitted on the RTE, and there is a, school can be fined, etc. There is a provision there. Now, these cases need to be highlighted, because the thing is that this is, IQ itself is contentious. I mean, that's besides the point. But this is a violation of the RTE. The problem, I think, is that there is there is not very strong clarity on whether the RTE covers special schools or not. Because RTE के नीचे जो schools मतलब जो schools का list है under the definition section, it talks about schools which are funding, the funding mechanism really. But it always talks about schools under the Department of Education,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's the issue, that can you use the RTE mechanisms to deal with questions like this is something which needs to be clarified. And I think it's a very important point that you raised, because if it happens in a mainstream school, one can use the RTE mechanisms perhaps,
Yeah,
but if it's
yeah.
happening in a special school, what do you do? That's not clear.
They say you go and fight. We'll see it. They
Yeah,
are very
I mean,
blunt with their wording. They are very blunt with their wording.
Absolutely. और उसमें एक बच्चे का 1 साल चला जाता है, and the thing is you can't get that back, especially in the context
And
of,
everybody cannot fight actually. That is also
everybody
true.
cannot fight. It's very expensive. It's very time consuming. You don't know what to do also. Because especially in the context of special schools, आप यहाँ से वहाँ जाओगे, वहाँ से आपको यहाँ भेजेंगे. It's quite, it's really cumbersome. In the context of sexual abuse of girls, and even boys actually in special schools. I want to also emphasize that sexual harassment of children in schools is not by any means a special school issue. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean it happens everywhere. In fact, incidentally, my sister has done her MPhil thesis on sexual harassment in schools. So she's looked at other groups and it's quite rampant. But I think the issue is that when we talk about in fact the case interventions that I have assisted in, many people are like, parents are not willing to take the complaints forward actually.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
aware of what you have explained. The organizations are protecting each other. That may well be the case, but from what I have seen, I will just say that it's often parents do not
Most
have
of the time, ma'am, I get the case, but people tells me don't take our name, and without mentioning how can I proceed.
You cannot pursue the criminal law. And I think that's something which is very important, because if that child, especially if you're going to a particular school, parents are worried about कि बाद में क्या होगा, ये स्कूल बंद हो जाएगा तो ये बच्चे कहाँ जाएंगे. एक तो ये बच्चे ऑलरेडी डिसेबल्ड है, उसके ऊपर ये कलंक लग जाएगा कि उसके साथ ये सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट हुआ है. And I think there is a strong need to create that sort of support system that that needs to look at when in the context of girls with disabilities, how are we going to accommodate their concerns, because it is a huge problem, and we need to look at why is there an issue with the system, and how can we, for someone who takes that step of making a complaint, like how do we ensure that they get justice, and if the child needs to be taken out of that school and put somewhere else, like how will that take place? These are all legitimate concerns.
अच्छा ये
I'm not
बताएं
saying
कि
that-
जी अभी इस जो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की कुछ रिपोर्ट्स है उसमें कुछ अच्छे पॉइंट भी हैं, तो ये क्या आपको लगता है कि कुछ हेल्प करेंगे डिसेबिलिटी कम्युनिटी को? जैसे इसमें है कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर बहुत ध्यान दिया गया है. They have kept here focused on infrastructure. They are constantly talking about the innovation, inclusion, and quality education, and they are also talking about to spend 6% of the GDP on the. So these, do you think these points are very positive, welcoming points, and it will if it is helping everyone, so it will also help the disabled?
I don't think that I actually believe the opposite, that if you make something which accommodates students with disabilities, it will make the system better for everyone, as opposed to this trickle down approach mein मैं ज़्यादा believe नहीं करती हूँ. Unfortunately, I'm a little cynical like that. मैं advocate हूँ, माफ कीजिए. I mean, if it's not that, अगर आप in general जो हम अगर कुछ भी बनाते हैं या कुछ भी हम इमेजिन करते हैं, तो हमारे सामने एक आइडियल है, like one student, जो हम, when we say student, what does a student look like? And I think that what we need to do is, when we talk about reimagination, for example, when we are reimagining the education system, are we putting a child with disability at the center? Or are we just putting, an able-bodied child, with any other form of marginalization? Like, we need to talk about, what if it is a transgender child? What if it is a disabled child? What if it is, a Dalit child or a tribal child or a child in a conflict? What exactly does it mean for that person, and what does inclusion mean for that child? It's not a simple, inclusion is not a one size fits all thing. Even within disability, there is so much of diversity. आप ही ने बताया अभी, the visually impaired are like, why don't we do away with this detention, no detention policy? Whereas for others, it may be different. Like, what is education? And I think this is why one of the things which, has been spoken about is an individualized education plan. And I think that is something which is like, when you look at a student who is, who is entering the school system, like what exactly will education need to accomplish in their context. And I think that's something which the CBSE has spoken about a bit in their guidelines. And many parents groups have promoted it, that we need to work on individualized education plans and look at success in that context.
तो क्या आपने कोई ये भी सुजेशन रखा है आप लोगों ने कि डिसेबिलिटी को पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए? स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट पूछ रहा हूं मैं कि ये स्कूलों में जहां फिजिकल एजुकेशन पढ़ाई जाती है लेकिन उसमें भी डिसेबिलिटी की बात कहीं नहीं होती, तो जबकि फिजिकल एजुकेशन में एटलीस्ट वहां बात होनी चाहिए इसकी, जहां क्या आप लोगों का फोकस है कि देयर शुड बी अ सेपरेट सब्जेक्ट ओनली एंड ओनली ऑन डिसेबिलिटी? बिकॉज डिसेबिलिटी इज अ वेरी बिग इशू नाउअडेज एंड पीपल शुड हैव द नॉलेज. आई सो इन द वेस्ट कंट्रीज, even if you go Hadley School for the Blind, USA, online, they are teaching this disability to the people. They are educating people. So, have you put forward the demand there should be a separate study on disability in the curriculum or in the school studies?
Yes. So, in when we have spoken about, I'm trying to find exactly where it is. Sorry, it's a 24-page submission, and I think we tend to get lost in it. But definitely, it has been looking at the study of disability, like we look at any other kind of thing. I think there is a separate section on language and culture in education. Okay, and where they talk a lot about ethics and talk about the great Indian culture and wo padhana chahiye. But साथ में we have said specifically that ethics education must also include exposure to diversity in community, which includes the entire range of impairments that persons may experience, and accommodating and enabling their participation, which includes the rights-based approach. So we need to look at that as when we talk about what is our culture and what are the ethics that children should be brought up with. Inclusion needs to be one of those ethics, because that's where you learn, right? That's where you break barriers and build barriers is in childhood. And that's something which there's a section 11 on culture and education where we've raised this point. Another thing is, since you talked about like this, internationalization of education, and you spoke about like this US school, there's actually one of the things that the policy does talk about is internationalization of higher education. And, it's very true that many students, particularly many visually impaired students, have really benefited from studying abroad. You must be aware of many of these, and they've gone and they've studied and mostly it has been remarkable because of the access that you get. And many people have written about it also. Shivani Gupta has written about it, and everyone has written about what an empowering experience that has been. And therefore, these universities which are abroad have their mandatory minimum requirements for accessibility. When I studied at King's College for 3 months as a person with psychosocial disability, I told them that I had a psychosocial disability, and immediately they told me about all of the supports available in the school, in the residence, everywhere. It was amazing because मुझे कभी ऐसा accommodation मिला ही नहीं था यहाँ पे. So it's something which is, we need to learn from that. So it's not enough to say that हम ये Yale University यहाँ खोल देंगे, and we have to ensure that, these universities, when they come here, they maintain those same standards, because that's what it's talking about, setting up campuses here. And, the other thing which, you had, I think, which was touched upon is really looking at, another thing is looking at online courses, because I think online education is something which is very important in the context of adult education. Ye kafi popular hua hai, like Coursera, different types of, काफी universities ने online modules रखे हैं जिसमें videos हैं या podcast type का है जिसमें you can follow it and submit, and get certificate courses online. Actually हाल ही में Twitter पे किसी ने बताया कि Bits Pilani का कुछ course था and his aunt is hard of hearing and the videos are not subtitled. So she cannot get anything from it, and she signed up for the course, etc. So, I mean, if we look at UGC has very good guidelines on accessibility in examinations. ये काफी बार I think काफी चर्चा हुआ इस पे कि students with disabilities को what accommodation should they get. वो guidelines in place हैं, but many times we've had to go knocking to the High Court, Supreme Court to get these available for students. So these guidelines have been issued by the CCPD, and by the UGC. They've been suggested by the CCPD, in place by the UGC, but colleges are refusing to,
exactly.
Yeah. So the thing is that we need to look at, okay, why is that not happening? And that's something which is very important. And even with regard to online education, the UGC does not have any guidelines on accessibility. So if a person with a disability who is now in an adult age, did not get benefit of RT, anything, earlier, wants to avail of education, we have no idea whether they can get accessible forms of education. Like the policy talks about Sakshar Bharat, which talks about literacy for adults. There is no data on how many persons with disabilities have been included under Sakshar Bharat. And it's not spoken about how, these persons who have been maybe in an institution, maybe locked at home, maybe, just unable to access anything. How does Sakshar Bharat reach out to them? And how can we use ICT, which again the policy talks about, to talk about accessibility? The problem is in the policy, many times accessibility is not the disability accessibility.
Yeah, exactly.
You say accessibility, immediately we are like W3G guidelines, all of that. But when you say accessibility, they just mean availability. It's just another word for availability.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's two different
you have spoken very good this time. Actually, first you clarify the inclusion, what we think inclusion, what they think inclusion, and the same way you have put forward with regard to accessibility.
But this is the problem that's happening. We've been seeing it. I've been working in this in 2012, and it's really taxing sometimes. It's like, what does it mean? This is the problem.
Now, I think I have taken you enough of time. Thank you so much. I will continue. I will try to have a panel discussion because it is a very important issue, and we'll have a panel discussion soon over this. And first, we have our listeners has get to know a lot of things with regard to this policy with the help of you, and you have put forward very rightly and very nicely. And we'll again we'll have a panel discussion. I hope you will be a part of that panel discussion. And in the last, I would request you to conclude it that where the focus of the listeners should be or the students should be.
I think I think that the focus should really be on really clarifying these points about inclusion and accessibility. I think really that's what it means when we look at every aspect of education, whether it's this list or other things. Like we need to start like making our presence felt in mainstream education debates. I think when you opened it out, right, I think it's very important. I will go back to when you opened it, for the conclusion that this is what we need to do. And we need to really drive home the point that, if you are really making the systems accessible for students with disabilities, everybody stands to benefit.
Exactly.
And I think that's something which is very, very important.
Thank you so much, Amba ma'am, for giving us time and for educating listeners. and it was a nice talking with you. Looking
Sorry,
forward to.
just one thing. I think if anybody wants to read the submission, I mean, it's been compiled with, inputs from about 24, 25 different individuals from the disability sector. But it will be on the MyGov website, it'll be on our organization website, it'll be on social media. So hopefully if you just Google persons with disabilities national education policy,
please announce your website. Please announce your website address so listeners can reach.
Sorry, it's equalcpsj.org. You can also find it on our Facebook page as equalcpsj. Our Twitter handle is @equalcpsj. So we will have it there, so you can access it. And if you are doing something similar, please reach out so we can all take it forward, because more the merrier. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
लिसनर्स, तो आज हमारे साथ थे अम्बा मैम, जिन्होंने हमें एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के बारे में काफ़ी चीज़ें बताई, और उम्मीद है कि इससे आपको भी काफ़ी कुछ पता चला होगा। और जब ये पॉलिसी पब्लिक डोमेन में आएगी तो हमें पता लगेगा कि ये कितनी डिसेबल फ्रेंडली है या नहीं। बहरहाल सुनते रहिए रेडियो उड़ान। मैं फिर आऊँगा नेक्स्ट संडे किसी और प्रोग्राम में और किसी और टॉपिक पे और किसी और शख्सियत से बात होगी। तब तक सुनते रहिए रेडियो उड़ान। अगला शो बिल्कुल तैयार है। गुड नाइट, टेक केयर।